First of all, I want to say happy Veterans Day to all of you veterans, and to you, Tiger Paul Craven.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your service. Man, just what a win. What a win. Probably the most complete game that Clemson has played, and it feels like we said that, we said that last week, but I feel like this week you kind of got, two halves of mostly good football from this team.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a shaky start. That first
Hmm.
quarter, gross,
Yeah.
but they did a
Yeah. It
good
was
job.
rough.
They did a good job of bouncing back and really, they made the adjustments on the defensive side of the ball. Offense really got going. Cade was, played one of his best games of the year. Made some really elite throws. Really only one iffy throw, and I don't think that interception was completely on him. And we'll talk about that, but it was just a complete performance. And your receivers were making plays as you saw. And just offensive line, after that first quarter, they really settled in. The run game started to get going. Welcome back, Will Shipley. Um,
Welcome back, man.
yeah, just a really complete performance, and really, I mean, you gave up 21 points, but wasn't really. It was, the two of those touchdowns were in garbage time, and I mean, you were up 42-7 at one point. So I mean, just a really dominant performance, and just way more than I was expecting, to be honest with you, because I think that I think that, coming in, we were like, is this team due for a letdown? You come off of that big emotional win over Notre Dame,
Yep.
and we just haven't seen this team deal with that kind of success yet. And it didn't look great early, but they really responded to the challenge and really imposed their will in the last three quarters. So I really don't have too much to complain about with this win. Just happy to see this team,
No.
win a game comfortably for once.
No. Absolutely. It was a great, like you said, it was a great team win. There's not a whole lot you can come on here as Clemson fans and really complain about. It was truly a team victory. Although the offense definitely came out in that first quarter and looked sort of clunky, looked how they've looked much of this season. Just kind of making inexplicable plays. Just not being able to block up front, getting a lot of tackles for loss. We did that whole punt fake that went horribly wrong, and that
Yeah,
ended up leading to Georgia Tech's first touchdown and put them up 7-0 to start the game. And at that point, I was like, "Oh boy, what are we doing?" Like, because the question for me, really coming into this game with Georgia Tech is, had we seen Clemson kind of turn the corner as a team and maybe wake up a little bit and kind of I don't know, be shaken into playing with a little bit more pride and a little bit more urgency about themselves, coming off of that Notre Dame game, or were they going to regress back to the team that we've seen, much of the season, which is a team that shoots themselves in the foot. They give the ball away far too often. They spot other teams' points. They put their defense in bad situations. And you can guarantee a turnover at one of the worst points and times in the game. And for another week, Clemson, has done pretty well. Yet, did they turn the ball over today? Yes. But it wasn't like it has been this season. And, I think, shout out to a lot of those young DBs that stepped up today. I mean, you got young dudes all over the field making plays for Clemson, both on the offense and defensive side of the ball. It was really good to see Clemson go out there and pretty much dominate an entire game. There were points in the game where obviously there was mistakes made and there could be improvement, and we could talk about those things. But just overall, as an overarching thought, it was nice to finally see the 2023, Clemson football team go out there and actually dominate a team from start to finish of a game, and it never really be in doubt.
yeah, absolutely. And I guess to kind of start diving into the specifics of the game, I want to. You want to start with the offense because I think that was actually I was more impressed with the offense than I don't know. It was again, it was a pretty strong performance from both sides, but I thought the
Right.
offense really showed something that they haven't been able to show consistently all year. First off, Cade Klubnik, like I said, played one of his best games of the year. Just the decision making, the timely scrambles, that 3rd and 18 that he nearly got, but that set up that easy fourth down conversion.
Yeah.
He threw 4 touchdown passes today. He was just really efficient and really accurate with the football. That touchdown to Jake Brenningstool, where he fit that into between 3 defenders, that was elite. That is the Cade Klubnik that we were promised. That was just an elite throw. I mean, it wasn't bad defense by Georgia Tech. That was just Cade putting the ball right, threading the needle right where Jake Brenningstool can get it, and that was a phenomenal play. Just getting that kind of stable quarterback play, you really saw kind of the difference. And when the offensive line was blocking, it was a beauty to see. And the receivers and the pass catchers for the most part were making plays. So I was just really happy to see that. Now I will say, we said this in the in the pregame show, this would be the worst defense you've played all year, and
for sure.
But and they were. But I want to make it clear that me and Tiger Paul Craven predicted this team not to score. They scored 35 offensive points, but I predicted 30 to 21. But I can't remember what your score was. Was it?
I think I was 27-17.
27. Okay, so you were lower on them than me.
Yeah, 27-17 is what I had.
Man, it was just phenomenal to see that. But this team has not, has made some pretty average defenses look very good this year. And so while, yes, Georgia Tech statistically not a good defense, we talked about it, but this is the first time really in a long time that this team has, gone and done what they were supposed to do against a defense like that. The Wake Forest game was a slugfest for no reason. Wake Forest defense has not been good. I mean, they're getting absolutely dominated by NC State as we speak right now. That was not a good defense.
No.
Syracuse, I mean, they've really, of Syracuse's losses, Clemson was the most competitive. And just stuff like that. And obviously the games against, NC State and Miami, I mean, those are good defenses, but, they just completely collapsed. And so you didn't really see that. And, Georgia Tech showed some resistance early, but Clemson settled in and they imposed their will, ran the football. Cade was accurate. It was a really good performance offensively and just complete.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, the offense, I'm super proud of this offense today. And, I know what a lot of people say. It's Georgia Tech. They got a terrible defense. This is not a banner defense that you're like, hey, look how many points we put up against them, right? And although that is, an accurate statement, there's something to be said about this Clemson offense just going out and executing. It's something that we have not seen a ton this year, even against, lesser defenses where they should have, been able to move the ball and be efficient and really run their offense and do what they wanted to do. They haven't been able to do that this year. And it was nice them coming to a game and start off a little slow, a little clunky. First couple drives, 3 and out, a lot of tackle for loss, the kind of head scratching, fake punt type deal that we did that kind of gave Georgia Tech momentum. Thankfully it didn't, bite us too bad, although they did take that in and score a touchdown. And then, Cade Klubnik, I think Cade had a pretty good day today. Cade made some of those elite throws today that, people were talking about when he was coming out of Westlake, right, in Texas. When Clemson landed Cade, he made some of those throws today that we were all hoping to see and that we thought we would see much more consistently at this point in his career at Clemson, but it just hasn't been there. But you see the flashes. So if he can continue to grow as a quarterback and make those type of plays, you see what kind of, you see the special that Cade has in him as a quarterback and his ability when it's all going right. He looked really comfortable in the pocket. He moved around well. He didn't just sit back there and kind of, take sacks and hold on to the ball too long and do things. He moved with the pocket. He looked comfortable. He delivered the ball for the most part very accurately today. You think about that one interception he had. He kind of threw that slant to Jake Brenningstool. The ball was a little bit behind him. The DB jumped it, and it was just a good play by the DB and a poor throw by Cade. It was just behind Jake Brenningstool. But outside of he did play a pretty clean game. And as much as we've said that Cade needs to grow and he needs to keep progressing, when he comes with a game like this, you got to give him credit, and you gotta appreciate it as it comes. He definitely put together a much better performance today than he has pretty much all this season. So if he can continue to put that together, and these wide receivers, can do what they're doing. I mean, shout out to Will Shipley. He came back with a vengeance today. 11 carries for 77 yards, 7-yard average, and he had a touchdown. And then shout out to Phil Moffa as well. 17 carries, 96 yards, 5.6 yard average. So we got it done on the ground. We got it done in the air. It was a pretty complete performance by the offense. And you got to take it at this point in the season as a Clemson fan, because we haven't been able to say that too often. So I really care less how good the defenses were playing. If Clemson's executing like they did today, I'm just going to be happy with it, and we're going to move on.
Absolutely. And shout out to Tyler Brown. And I mentioned the receivers. I thought Tyler Brown and Bo Collins in particular had really great days. Tyler Brown with that just incredible one-handed catch to put Clemson. Clemson up in
he did that OBJ. He did his OBJ impression.
Yeah, I know. He reached way back. Reached way back like 1-3, as Drake said.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the best catches of the year.
For sure.
And Clemson has had 2 of those this year. I mean, who would have thought that Hamp Green and Tyler Brown would be competing for best catch of the season?
Coming into the season, you would have won a lot of money on that bet.
Oh yeah, 100%. But offense pretty good, and you got to see some of the younger playmakers come in that late. That's the great thing about a blowout, is you actually get to see the youth on this team.
Absolutely.
You saw Josh Sapp catching a touchdown pass over the middle. He's a guy that I've been a huge fan of. Just because physically, I think he's extremely impressive, and he's kind of the way he moves. He could be a weapon for this team in the future. And it was good to see him get in.
That was a good
great
throw
catch
by Cade on that play as well.
Yeah, great throw, great catch. I see somebody mention Olsen Pat Henry. Yeah, he got in, and I've been wanting to see him for a long time. True freshman tight end. It was great. He showed some real flashes. I mean, I thought he had, a better ball, in the end zone. He might have gotten in. And then obviously he had that big catch. It was a great throw by Helms, and obviously it was taken back by a questionable offensive pass interference call.
Yeah.
Which leads me to say that the refs in this game were. I'm not going to complain about refs too much in a win. And I'm not one to complain about officiating anyway, but this was not a great day for the ACC refs. There were some pretty questionable calls. I mean, you saw the Will Shipley getting his head taken off, clear as day targeting. They don't even go to review for it. And then Will Putnam in that scrum in the middle, his face mask is literally pulled and his helmet is ripped off and right in front of the ref.
Yeah, nothing.
Absolutely nothing. And that Clemson ended up punting on that drive, and it should have been 15 yards in the first down. So,
absolutely.
The offense could have had a better day if some of those calls kind of went the other way. But just a really. But again, I don't want to complain too much, and Clemson did a good job despite some of those issues. So, really happy with the offense and just a really balanced performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Offense did great, man. Tyler Brown, 7 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown. Bo Collins, 5 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. Jake Brenningstool, 4 catches, 27 yards and a touchdown. And then Josh Sapp had 2 catches, 17 yards and a touchdown, man. Like it was a really good day for the Clemson offense, efficient day. K Klubnik threw for, 67% completion percentage, which you can't be mad at that. 205 yards, 4 touchdowns. Already talked about that 1 interception, but it was really it was a pretty clean day for this offense, especially when you judge it off of kind of how this offense has operated so far this season, right? I mean, this offense has been downright terrible. I mean, just hard to watch at times with their clunkiness, their inability to really, put together significant drives with their, just their fumbles, their turnovers. They just give the ball away a lot. And that, to be honest, coming into this game, it was a concern for me, especially with the weather. You knew the field was wet. You knew there was a potential for some wet ball type of situations in this game. And with the team that Clemson has been this year so far, I was nervous about the turnover margin in this game, and it was completely flipped. We completely own the turnover margin in this game, and you can kind of see what we can do when we don't give so many opportunities to another team to score points on us. And that showed up today in a 42-21, just, solid victory from start to finish. I hope that this is now a building point for this offense. We've seen against Notre Dame now. Now we've seen kind of a more complete game, if you will, from this offense against Georgia Tech. Now we have to take this and we have to continue to build, right? For the rest of this season, for next season, we got to get these young guys in. You saw the depth, you saw the talent along this Clemson team. There are some dudes that have been sitting on that sideline for much of the season. Okay, so now we just play for pride the rest of the season. Play for the guy to the right and left of you, and let's really start building something and having some momentum to carry into the off season. That's kind of my hope for this offense, that they just continue to execute and play clean or cleaner like they did today. I don't know if we'll have a turnover-free game this season, but if we can play,
I don't know if it's in the cards.
if we can play somewhat clean like we did today, I think we can live with it, and I think we can take that momentum and build into the offseason and kind of feel a little bit better at where we are versus where we have been at points of time this season.
Absolutely. Before we talk about the defense, I honestly, the thing that hamstrung the offense at times the most was, it's weird to say, it was Dabo. Because just some of okay, so I liked how aggressive Dabo was today for the most part.
Yes.
It was just he was kind of pretty like across the board, consistently, aggressive. Except for the 1 4th down where he could have easily went for it and decided to punt. I was completely bewildered by the fake punt. Just why?
Yeah, that was the reason? Poor play. That was a poor play. It didn't really make sense at that point in time in the game. Like, why are we fake punting in our territory with, Aiden Swanson? That's the dude that you're gonna put the ball in his hands. And I'm not saying he's slow or unathletic or whatever, but like that's not the guy would put the ball in their hands when it comes to something like that. Just to me, like you, it didn't make sense at that point in time in the game. It was 0-0. Your defense was playing well. Just punt the ball. Let your defense go out there, probably get another 3 and out, and then you'll be back on the field. It didn't make sense, and I didn't really like the play design of it either. But I did like, like you were saying, I did like that Dabo was aggressive. You could tell he came out and he was like, Clemson wasn't, they were going to take chances in this game. And you saw it early there, which didn't work out for us. But, eventually some of the risk and the chances that he took later on did work out in Clemson's favor. So.
Absolutely. And I saw some people kind of upset with some of the trick plays. I didn't hate all of them. Honestly, the throwback, the Phil Mafah throwback to Cade
Hey,
Klubnik,
that was 6, man.
yeah, that was a good play call.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate because pressure kind of got there a little quicker than they wanted, and Cade probably still could have caught that ball. I mean, he kind of short armed it a little bit, but that would have been a touchdown. And plus they ran that play against UNC last year. Like I think people forget that. Like they ran that exact same play. With when Cade Klubnik came in, I think it was the first drive, that first scoring drive for Cade when he came into the ACC championship game. They ran that exact same play, and Cade took it into the red zone. So I mean, the play it's kind of weird. Is you don't see that a whole lot, but I mean it worked. Just because I think some people, when they judge a play call, they judge it based on the result of the play and not on the actual what the defense was showing and what the result could have been if execution was better. Because I think that was the difference. I actually didn't hate that one. I thought that could have been a touchdown.
I think it's a fine play. It's okay to run every now and then.
Hard take got me with he got me there. He says, "Oh, so is it Riley's offense?" Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. But hey, we as you guys know, I mean, it's not abnormal for teams to hold on to plays. I know you're just joking, hard take. But I mean, sometimes you keep those plays, and I feel like Dabo has his own separate playbook that he likes to keep to himself, and,
Look,
and he wants to,
Dabo is made
these select plays that he's like, I want to keep in the offense no matter what, and so he has a stash of 10 to 15 plays that he just I bet he has not gotten rid of that the tight end throwback screen we used to always run. We ran it under Morris and Elliott and Scott.
It'll come eventually again. They'll run it again one of these days.
Got rid of that one. Yeah. I think you're going to see it.
I think sometimes Dabo's. Yeah, this is how I imagine these plays happening, right? I imagine Dabo's just sitting there in his office or wherever, and something just comes to him, and he just jots it down, and then he's gonna install it. It's just gonna happen, and then he's just gonna keep it there, and it's just gonna hang out until he gets a wild hair on the sideline. He's like, hey, what we should run? We should run this huddle up, punt or this kickoff. That's not going to work.
Dear God, I hope we don't see that one. Yeah,
I hope that one never. Do you think that one's shelved forever now? Is that one shelved?
I hope so. I just got done saying don't judge the quality of a play call by the result, but I could go without seeing that one ever again. I'm good on that. I'm good on that.
Sure.
Yeah, let's talk about the defense because another great, really good performance for the most part. Obviously, both sides of the ball in that first quarter were really iffy. Some early poor run fits early in that game. Georgia Tech was getting some chunk runs. Jamal Haynes was getting some. He's a really good running back, but their offensive line was blocking up really well, and Clemson wasn't fitting the run particularly well, and they were getting some chunks. But I thought they made some great adjustments. And again, the offense, especially in the second quarter when they got up, all of a sudden it changes how it changes how the opposing offense plays, because now they're playing catch up. They can't run the ball as much. It's exactly what happened with Notre Dame last week. They, they were running the ball well early, but defense held up, settled in field goals, and then the offense and the special teams made plays, and all of a sudden Clemson's up by double, 2 scores, and Notre Dame has to pass more. They can't lean on the run as much because they don't have the time, and they weren't built to play catch up. Now Georgia Tech, I think, was a little more well equipped, and that's why you saw some of the early the shot plays. Like Clemson was. I'm gonna be on. Clemson was very fortunate that Georgia Tech did not hit on either one of those plays down the field.
That first shot that Georgia Tech took, that was about this close to being a house call.
Yep, 100%. And like we said, we told you guys in the pregame, the Thursday night show, Georgia Tech's receivers are good. This is a much better, this is a much tougher challenge offensively for Clemson than Notre Dame was, because they have the explosive play ability and the balance on offense, and their offensive line has been playing really well, and Haynes King had been playing very well. So they were, they got those breaks. Sometimes you need those breaks. It happens to every team. So I'm not going to take it away from them. And I was really pleased with the adjustments, and that's when you got to see, especially with Sheridan Jones and Jaden Lucas was out, and obviously Barrett Carter was a surprise no-go today. I mean, he wasn't listed in he wasn't listed as unavailable, but he was in street clothes and he didn't end up playing. You saw, this defense was playing a little bit shorthanded again, but that was when you really saw the depth of this team start to show, and especially in the late in the first half, in the second half, you saw the talent, especially of the young freshmen, really start to show, and that was huge. And Haynes King was miserable after those first few drives of the game. He was miserable pretty much the entire game. So just what a performance, especially in the secondary. Just the future is bright. This freshman class, love what I've seen from them.
Yeah, man. Khalil Barnes, Avian Terrell, all these dudes. Wow, is all I can say for these freshmen that have had to step up a couple weeks in a row and really, play meaningful snaps and go out there on sometimes short notice. And, they had to perform, and they performed very well. They, like you said, the future is bright for this Clemson team, both on the offense and defensive side of the ball. Although, like you said, it was a rocky start for the Clemson defense. I mean, you got to give it up to that Clemson front that kind of just Haynes King in check all game. He wasn't comfortable. He couldn't get outside the tackle box. He couldn't really escape pressure. He never really got a chance to hurt Clemson with his legs, and that was strictly due to Clemson's defense, their ability to stick to their rushing lanes. And put, pressure on him where he couldn't, they didn't give him any lanes to escape and create with his legs. And because of that, he became very uncomfortable. And then he started to force things downfield, which was the 4 interceptions that he ended up having. So a lot of those interceptions are credit to the pressure and what they did to Haynes King and how uncomfortable they made him. And then the Clemson secondary just came through. I mean, they blanketed those wide receivers. They responded very well. It was definitely a test for this Clemson defense, and they absolutely passed the test. They did a great job. I can't say enough about this defense. These young dudes, they came in the game and they were hungry. They were absolutely hungry, and they absolutely put together a great performance against an offense where it could have went sideways, right? This is a team that in Georgia Tech that can be very explosive at times. You saw the shots that they took, Some of them were very, very close to being house calls. Some of them could have been if the ball would have been, an inch or two the other way. But thankfully, those did not hit. Those did not happen. And, it was really a good day. A good day to hang your hat on as a Clemson defense. They absolutely just stifled this Georgia Tech offense. And there's not a whole lot of answers that Georgia Tech had for them.
Absolutely. And that was and it wasn't just, the cover. I mean, obviously they made the plays on the ball too. I mean, this is, this Clemson defense so far this year. I mean, they've been okay at forcing turnovers, but they hadn't really been, a prolific turnover creating team. But today this was obviously, 4 interceptions. That's the most any quarterback has thrown against Clemson this year. I think by far. I think the only other, I think two. I think the next closest was 2. So, and they were all made by freshmen. Like that's pretty incredible. Avion Terrell was phenomenal. Just looks like his older brother.
He does, man.
Plays like his older brother.
When you see him out there, and you get flashbacks.
Oh yeah. The only thing different is the number. I saw somebody. I think it might have been Steele Gamble. It was. He said that Avion Terrell is farther than his brother was at this point in his career. I would agree. I think that like 2017, AJ's freshman year, he got in. He was part of the rotation, but he didn't make those kind of he didn't show that kind of coverage ability until his sophomore and junior years. Avion he's been lights out like anytime we've seen him essentially. He looks the part. He's going to be a good one. Shelton Lewis, man, Shelton Lewis is just that's just a straight up evaluation win for Clemson. That's a guy that was on nobody's radar when he initially committed to Clemson. He was a low 3. I think he got a bump later, like really late in the cycle, but he was still a pretty middling 3-star at the end of his high school career.
Mm-hmm.
The guy can flat out play. He's just a really good football player, and you saw the attitude that you want in a corner in Shelton, like just the coverage ability, the focus. The length. He was running with those Georgia Tech receivers. Georgia Tech was still playing their ones at the end of this game, and you still saw Shelton, making plays and pass breaks. Really, other than that, that pass interference at the end, which was, whatever. He was phenomenal. And then Kylan Griffin gets his second interception in 2 weeks. Just the amount of plays that these freshmen have made. I didn't even mention Khalil Barnes. He got a pick today. These freshman defensive, this is one of the better, that I can remember. This has to be one of the best freshman defensive back classes that Clemson has had in a minute. Because it's not just the corners, it's the safeties that are playing well too, and this is just a really good group. And not all of them were blue chip, 4 or 5-star guys. A few of these guys were. Khalil Barnes was a 4-star, maybe 1 or 2, recruiting sites, but largely a 3-star. I already mentioned Shelton Lewis, Kylan Griffin, 3-star. And he was kind of sort of an add-on when they added, when they signed TJ Dudley. He was high school teammates with him. Obviously, we don't have to get into talk about TJ anymore, but.
Nope.
But Kylan stayed, and he's been, and he's kind of been biding his time, and the injuries in the safety room have allowed him to step in and get a bigger role, and he's answered the call. So I'm really extremely impressed with this these young DBs. They're really good. They're really good.
They come in the game, man, and they just look hungry, dude. They are it's max effort on every play for them. And that's something that you tend to see out of younger dudes that get an opportunity to come and play. They're going to give you max effort because they're playing for reps, they're playing for snaps, they're playing for the future on this team. So you can tell those dudes want it. They're hungry, but not only that, as you just laid out very clearly, these guys they're talented. They're very talented. And when you put that sort of effort behind that kind of talent, I mean, we all saw what happened. The future is certainly bright for this Clemson secondary, that's for sure. 4 interceptions today by 4 separate freshmen. I mean, that's crazy to think that happened in a single game.
Yep. And just speaks to, I mean, we can talk about how much, Clemson, they've foregone the transfer portal in recent years, but man, like there's still something to be said for high school recruiting, and Clemson is still, I still think, is doing a great job at evaluating out of the high school ranks and getting guys in the program. Like and you see, it's been a blessing to hold on to Mike Reed, and he's been in the program a long time. He's one of the best defensive back coaches in college football. And Mickey Kahn, the safeties coach, I think he kind of doesn't get as much credit as he probably deserves from Clemson fans. But just consistently, the safety evals as of late have been really, really good. I mean, RJ Mickens and Jalen Phillips, I mean, they've been battling injuries lately, but they've been having a really, really good season, and they've been good players for a while now. And then you see the young safeties that are playing, and they look great as well. So I'm really proud of and excited about the future of the secondary in Clemson, because honestly, that's been one of the weaker points of the defense. You go back to the Brent Venables era. We had a lot of talent there, but it was kind of the way that Clemson played defense. You leave guys on the islands, and sometimes it was hit or miss. And there were some years the secondary was really, really good and didn't give up a ton of big plays, and other years you were kind of that was kind of your weakness. And I think you're starting to see a shift, and especially after last year, the bounce back from this group. They just look this secondary as a whole just looks completely different.
Yeah, they definitely have a swagger about them. I think some of it, could be attributed to kind of a bit of a change in scheme. As Clemson's defensive scheme is not quite as aggressive as it used to be, right? I mean, right. Clemson used to hang out there, very high risk, high reward type of defense. Brent Venables was always going to be in your face, was always going to come at you. He was always going to take some big chances, which led to a lot of explosive plays against the Clemson defense. And you can tell, to your point, that there has been a shift at Clemson, and they are not giving up the explosive plays that they used to. And a lot of that is attributed to, Mike Reed, Mickey Kahn, all those dudes in the secondary, just developing, and the evaluation of talent. I think you mentioned it, but I think that's something that we don't, maybe talk about enough or recognize enough as fans. Just how big that is to have guys like that can pluck a 3-star out, and then you see him come on the field today and play, and you're like, wow, you mean he didn't have all these crazy offers? Like, nope, sure didn't. But you couldn't tell when you couldn't tell when he had a tiger paw on his helmet and he was, making a big play interceptions today. So, shout out to those guys, man.
Yeah. And same goes on the offensive side. I mean, we already talked about, we talked about how Tyler Brown, we've raved about him all season, but man, that's another guy that you just, that's a guy, that's a local kid, like right in Greenville, South Carolina. Nobody basically nobody offered him. He was committed to Minnesota before Clemson, offered, and he had really nothing else as far as any big time Power 5 offers. And
look
the
at
guy
how that dude
is one of the better true freshmen. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, look at the effect that he has had on this Clemson offense. Think about where Clemson as an offense would be without Tyler Brown this season, and he was a late get for the Tigers.
Yep.
So I mean, and
Yep,
Clemson's
really
done that before. You think back to Travis Etienne, it was kind of same deal with him, right? We kind of got on him late, and he owns all kinds of rushing records in the ACC. So, sometimes you just grab those dudes that people just overlook or under evaluate, or maybe they're just not a big enough name. They didn't go to enough camps, whatever the case may be. And this coaching staff has had a history of being able to evaluate those guys and get them onto campus, which, bodes well for this Clemson squad.
100%. And special teams, do no harm. That was pretty much the name of the game, and thought they did well. Jonathan, other than the missed field goal at the end of the half, which was unfortunate because I thought that was a well strung together drive late in that. Cade made some really good decisions and threw the ball away and gave a more inexperienced Cade Klubnik might have taken a sack or maybe thrown an interception. That was unfortunate, and that's at this point the kicking situation is what it is. I really don't know what the status is with Robert Gunn. I mean, I know he was injured earlier. I don't believe he was. But yeah, other than that, I thought, and obviously the fake punt, we already talked about that. But I don't really blame that on the special teams unit. It wasn't like a guy just didn't make a play or do what
I think it was a terrible.
That was just a poor call. It was just a bad call by your head coach. That's what that is. But other than that, I thought they did a good job. I mean, Hamp Green he continues to just be really solid in the return game. He's not a guy that's going to break one for 6 more than likely, but I mean, he does make guys miss. He he gets yards where he can, and he takes care of the football. And that's something. I mean, with how prolific this team is at turning the ball over, that's pretty much what you need right now. So
I'll sacrifice 5 or 10 yards on turn to keep the ball. That's for sure. Ball security first and foremost, and he's done a very good job. I mean, I really thought heading into the half that Clemson was going to get that field goal. It would have been nice to get points away there. But it didn't hurt too terribly much because you were getting the ball coming out of halftime. So although it was disappointing to, not get points there, especially when your defense comes away with a big turnover and gives you an opportunity, you got to capitalize on stuff like that, especially in bigger games against, that's maybe a little bit closer. You want to see your team finish there, but you can't complain about the special teams too terribly much. Aiden Swanson had a pretty good day. He's been having a really good season, pinning people inside the 10, inside the 20-yard line. Not a whole lot of complaints there. I guess you can pin the not getting the first down on the fake punt him, but I don't really think that was his fault. He didn't have much of a shot there. Poor play call, but
I just bewildering decision at that point in the game.
Weird play call. Shout out to Robert Gunn. Apparently he can't make field goals, but 7 for 7 on touchbacks. So you take that every single time. 7 for 7 on touchbacks.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, and then we can kind of kick it to the chat for a little bit, and then get on out of here.
No, I think that's it, man. Just final thoughts on it before we kick it to the chat, man. Just a great team win. It was fun to watch Clemson, play a majority complete game as a team. not the defense carried the entire game or the offense carried the entire game. They for once this season kind of played, you know, complimentary football. Finally, for the Clemson Tigers, it was
For
really
two
fun
halves.
to watch. For two halves, they finally put it together for a full game or majority of a full game. You know, there were parts here and there, but I mean, it was good to watch, and I'm hoping this continues for the next couple games because, you know, like we keep saying, it doesn't get any easier. You got North Carolina, you got South Carolina to end the season. Those are not going to be, you know, easiest of games.
Cakewalk. No cakewalk there.
There's no there's no gimmies. Clemson is not a team that can overlook anybody or sleepwalk through any sort of game. So let's hope that they continue the momentum. Let's hope that they build on the Notre Dame game and now putting it together for, you know, pretty much a full game against Georgia Tech, and we could just continue to build and make the best out of, you know, a season that didn't go as planned. So.
All right, let's see what you guys are talking about. Hard take asks, where's Vic Burley? Yeah, Vic he's been out for the year. He suffered an injury in fall camp, and he's not.
Yeah, he's gone.
It wasn't likely that we were going to get. I don't know. We'll see if. I think they said there might be a possibility if, you know, in a bowl game. Well, Clemson is bowl eligible now, so they'll be definitely going to a bowl game.
Postseason play, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. But I personally don't expect him to be back this year, which is unfortunate because I love Vic Burley, and and that's the thing. We've been raving about all these freshmen, and Vic Burley could be, if it wasn't for the injury, I feel like he would be just right there in that discussion as well. And we didn't even really talk much about the defensive line, but at this point, you know, they're solid. They're just really good, and
they're doing their thing, man. They're doing their.
I mean,
just let them cook.
Tyler Davis and Rook have been just, you know, they've been what you expected them to be, and then Peter Woods, T.J. Parker just continue to play well. XT, you know, he's really been a load for teams in pass rush situations.
He's starting to put it together towards the end of the season. It's really good.
Also, shout out to them.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I think there's a delay.
No, I was just saying it's good to see XT starting to put it together towards the end of the season, man. I'm happy for him. You know, the dude's been through a lot of adversity. Just happy to see him start to put, you know, quite a few games together where he's actually, you know, he makes an effect on the game. It doesn't always end up in the score box for XT, but that dude's getting held a lot.
Oh yeah,
he's getting held a ton.
Yeah, he's had some pretty brutal moments. Guys grabbing his face mask and not called, you know, stuff like that. Let's see. Go Tigers. Good to see you, man. It's been a minute. He said Eason has turned 19 into a monster. Yeah, DeMonte Capehart has been, especially these last, you know, couple weeks. Yeah, he's the guy we all like coming. He was top 100 kid in coming in the class. He was in the class with Brian Brzee, Miles Murphy, you know, that group. Yep. He had the worst luck imaginable. I mean, just through his first 3 years, injury after injury, really couldn't get right. And really put him behind the 8 ball. But you really see what he's developed into. Like first of all, he's a massive human being.
Yeah, he is.
He's Clemson's like Jordan Davis type. Like that's what he is. Just absolutely like just a true nose. Just demolishing double teams. And just a load to, especially in the run game. He got a sack today as well, which was great. And that was created by XT's pressure. Just really great to see him get more snaps as of late. And he's really making the most of it. And yeah, he's special. He has 2 more years of eligibility, I think. Because I think he does get the COVID year because he was in that 2020 class. And obviously, he redshirted. So he can come back next year, and I think he can come back another year if he wants to. I wouldn't imagine he would come back another year, but I think he has legit NFL potential. So we'll see what kind of grade he gets back this year. But I think it would be great for him to come back another year, because I think with Tyler Davis and on, he'll definitely be in the cards for more snaps.
Yeah, I mean, you get if we get him back for next season, that'll be a huge get for that defensive tackle room, man. That's because he's gonna be a problem, and if he can stay healthy, I mean, you see what he's capable of. I mean,
absolutely
he's an animal out there. So I hope we get him back for next season. That'd be great.
Absolutely. Hardtech says Peyton Page too. Yeah, Peyton Page has shown some flashes all season. Yeah, he's. Yep. I mean, this is going to be I mean, I know there's some concerns about the guys leaving after this year, but really, I mean, if you can keep these guys, you'll be in really good shape. And Trey Williams has been dealing with injuries, but he's a guy that has a lot of potential as well and has shown flashes. So if you get those guys back, which I don't want to speculate on guys transferring, but it's obviously an inevitability. I wouldn't be surprised if one or two, one of them or two of them isn't on the team next year. But
yeah, I mean that's a deep room. So
but on paper, if you get the guys that aren't surefire NFL draft picks this year to come back, then I think you're going to be in really good shape as far as your defensive tackle room.
Yeah, we're in good shape there.
Let me see. Philip Medlin asks, "Do you think Clemson will be favored over North Carolina?" Yes, I think so.
Yep.
Not a heavy favorite. I'd have to look. I have to look at some of the the Vegas models and stuff. But Clemson will be favored. It'll be a short favorite, but they'll be favored. I think
probably by like a field goal, maybe 2-3 points.
Yeah,
they'll be favored.
Yeah,
it's in the Valley, so Clemson will be favored.
You see. Yeah, Go Tiger says Clemson averages 10 players leaving every offseason. And honestly, that's lower than, especially when you look at some of Clemson's peers, especially the teams that recruit on the level that Clemson does. They actually, they retain their guys.
Is that including NFL guys, or is he just? Is that including NFL guys, or he's just talking like transfer portal?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
That seems like a lot. I feel like we haven't lost that many in the transfer portal, but I could be wrong.
I think we lost 10 guys to the portal last year.
Yeah, we might have. You could be right.
Around 10.
It was probably around 10 last year. Yeah. Yeah, no.
None of them major contributors outside of DJ, but
right.
Okay, he says just portal.
Just portal. Okay, cool.
Yeah. John says depth at defensive end will be the only question for next year's front. Yeah, and I think that's where I think Clemson.
Yeah, we may have to go to the portal for that. We may have to go to the portal to address that situation. I think honestly we really do have to go to the portal for defensive end.
I think you do.
There's just there's no answers there on this current roster.
From a
depth standpoint,
we love TJ. Yeah, but we love TJ and obviously, other than that, you don't have many proven proven guys. I mean, Justin Mascall is gone. XT is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want Cade Denhoff? And I mean, you have Cade Denhoff, Zaire Patterson, which
I don't think Zaire's seen the field, has he?
No, and I don't expect him. I really don't expect him to be like a
Cade Denhoff at this. Cade Denhoff at this point only gets like 4 snaps a game. Zaire Patterson, I don't know if he's been on the field all season long. Maybe a couple snaps here or there, but I haven't. So I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know there. We have a current depth issue at defensive end. We've had injuries where both Justin Mascall and XT have been gone for games, and he still didn't get on the field. So, I mean, that kind of tells you everything you need to know right there about that. So we're definitely going to have to fill some gaps there for sure.
Yeah. And listen, I'm really high on David Ojebwe and AJ Hoffler. Those guys I think they're going to be really good players in the future, but they are not. I don't think they're ready to be starting players. Like, you don't want to be leaning on them next year necessarily.
Yeah, no.
And you're going to be, and regardless, you'll be really, really young, even if you aren't. So I think you have to go and get at least one defensive end in the portal. It doesn't have to be a superstar. You don't have to get like a Jermaine Johnson or Jared Verse or anything like that. But get an experienced, Power 5 level starter. Has played a lot of football.
Yeah,
just
a solid dude.
That's kind of the mold that Clemson is. Yeah, that's kind of the mold that Clemson is going to be looking for in their transfers. And who knows? Maybe you do. Who knows? Maybe you get a guy and he turns out to be that way. But I don't think that's going to be the MO for Clemson. If when they start looking into the portal, it's going to be it's going to be guys that have played a lot of football. Maybe they're all conference. That was kind of what they were looking for in an offensive lineman the past couple of off seasons, and just weren't able to land one. All conference player, maybe not a super high caliber like NFL, because a lot of those guys that are in the transfer portal, they're looking for other things that probably don't really necessarily align with how Clemson wants to do things. So just getting an experienced all conference caliber player, I think that would be a big deal. Let me see. Yeah, I see a couple of people talking about Zaire Patterson. Yeah, when Dabo has talked about him, he's just been kind of, he's really, really talented player, but doesn't seem to have it, off the field, and as far as his preparation and his commitment is concerned. So that's, you never say never. Sometimes guys have a resurgence, but at this point, I'm not banking on it. Let's see. A couple more before we get on out of here.
Yep.
Jacob Geddes asked, "Do you all think Trotter will come back for another year?" I wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, I think it's a
great if he does.
I think it's a possibility. But
it's probably more of a possibility than maybe people would think. But I
think it is a real possibility that he comes back. I don't know if I'd really bet on him coming back at all. But I do. I mean, I think it's a possibility. I hope he comes back. But if he goes and gets a really good NFL grade, he's got to kind of go do that. Unless he just truly does just want to come back to Clemson, and if that's the case, then awesome. It wouldn't make Clemson a worse team for Jeremiah Trotter to come back. So
no, it would not. But if he did, that'd be great. But I think how he's played especially the last couple of games, and now that he's kind of gotten healthy, he's really put on some good tape.
First part of the season, he was not living up to his preseason hype, but he definitely has the past 2-3 weeks for sure.
Yeah, and he had that lingering. He talked about having that lingering. It was a hamstring or something.
Yeah.
That had been bothering him early in the year, and it was kind of hanging. And those type of injuries do tend to linger. Hamstrings, if you've played football like that. Really any sport, but those hamstring injuries, like they tend to, even when you think they've kind of subsided a little bit, they can come back on you. But I think Trotter has kind of fully moved past that, and he looks really good right now. And I think he's going to be one of the top linebackers taken. Let's see.
Steel Gamble sent a super chat a
while
ago.
Oh my God! Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
My bad.
I meant to hit that. I hope you're still here, Still Gamble. Guys, if you send a super chat and we're taking a long time to get to it, like please feel free to let us know.
Yell at us in the chat.
Yeah.
Yell
I
at
hope
us in
he's
the
still
chat.
here. But he says we buying stocks today. Yeah, I bought a couple more. I think it's a lot of it is the future. I'm playing the long game right now. I think some of the young people, the young guys in this room, the freshmen, this freshman class has been really, really impressive. And when they get more experience, like this is a group that's going to be really, really good.
Yeah, for sure. I called my broker and he set me up with a few more shares, so we're good to go. Appreciate you still, Gamble. Thanks so much for the super chat, buddy. Sorry we suck at reading them. We didn't mean to leave you hanging for that long.
Yeah,
we'll be better next time. At least we'll try. I don't know. No promises.
Let me see. Yeah, what was with Carter today? Is he injured? Yeah, it seems like it. I'll have to go look. There was no report. I had no indication prior that he was not going to be playing. Clemson had announced him as a starter, and he was in street clothes and just didn't play. I'm really not sure. Maybe who knows? Maybe warm ups. Maybe he got injured in warm-ups or something. I really have no idea, but that was kind of a out of the blue type of thing. I honestly, to be honest with you, I was kind of surprised that Adam Randall played because I had some prior knowledge that he had a brace on his hand and possibly has a fracture in it. So I was not expecting him to play. But he did play a little bit.
I'm sure Dabo get asked in the press conference about Barrett Carter and what's going on with him. So we'll probably have some more clarity here shortly on what's going on with him.
Let's see. Yeah, and John Sari mentions it might not be an injury. Who knows? It could be something off the field. I mean, we saw Nate Wiggins not start last week for that reason. Oh my goodness. Linda Gordon gets in. Well, I think this is someone using Linda Gordon's account. It's Aubrey, I guess your niece.
Shout out to my niece Aubrey. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good day.
You are man, second family member. Well, actually, third, 2.5 if you want to count Frank. He has he has the same last name.
Yeah, same last name.
No relation.
Yeah, no relation. Somewhere down the line, maybe. Kind of.
Well, hello, Aubrey, and welcome to the show. Your uncle is very good at this. Let's see. Guys talk about TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco coming in. Yeah, really excited about those guys.
Those will be some game changers coming in, man. Game changers. Can't wait till those dudes get on campus, man. Can't wait till they get on campus. It's gonna be big for that wide receiver room.
Absolutely. I guess we'll close it off with this. Jacob says, "Well, it was good hanging with you all today. Have to go to sleep now. Have to work tonight." Oh yeah, I feel you, man. I've been there. Them late
Shout out
shifts.
to you, man. Doing third shifts type stuff, man. That's a rough life. Yeah. Good luck to you, man.
Shift.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Rest up.
That takes a different breed to do work like that, man. So shout out to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it really. Yeah, no matter what it is, I mean, I cannot. I've worked some late night jobs in my life, and not for me. It's not for me.
Yeah. Flips your schedule completely around, man. It is crazy stuff.
It's not great.
All right, man.
All right.
I think that's gonna do it for the show today. Shout out to the Clemson Tigers getting it done. We did not give them enough credit this week, Jordan. I guess that's our takeaway. We did not give them enough credit.
Hey, I'm more than happy to say that.
Yeah, maybe if we just continue to not give them enough credit, they'll keep surprising us and doing stuff like this. We picked against them in the Notre Dame game. They won. We underestimated them in this game, and they exceeded our expectations. So, I guess we'll just keep this ball rolling for the rest of the season. Hopefully, Clemson can keep it rolling. But man, what a Saturday! What a day to watch. Any big upsets before we get out of here? Any big upsets in college football yet?
UCF is putting it on. Last time I looked, UCF was putting it on Oklahoma State, which was kind of surprising given how Oklahoma State has played lately. Florida State is only up 10-7 late in the second quarter on Miami. That's been a pretty competitive game. Miami's at Florida State's 31 currently. Let's see. Michigan handled Penn State. What a shot! Oh, Kansas lost. That's probably been the biggest one so far. Texas Tech beat them on the road. Late field, game-winning field goal.
Washington's in a close game with Utah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of expected that.
21-20.
Well, in that row, I just realized the score and how Utah and Washington in a shootout. Didn't really expect that.
21-24. Yeah.
Yeah, if it was I thought it would be close, but I didn't think it would be a super high score. I knew Washington could score points, but Utah having this much offensive success is pretty shocking, even though they have been playing better offensively as of late.
Yeah.
But, man, Bryson Barnes, 13 for 17, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
He said I came to play today. Oklahoma State, you think they're going? You think Oklahoma State wake up at halftime? I don't think they got off the bus, dude. 24-0. Goodness.
Yeah, no, man. And UCF is one of the worst teams in the Big 12 this year. It
ain't good, man. That ain't good.
No.
All right, so no big upsets.
Well, I just want to shout out Rutgers and Iowa, 3-0 at halftime. Just typical typical Iowa style.
Oh, man.
I in my college fantasy league, I started Iowa's defense, so they've been really good to me.
That's always a good play right there. You can guarantee there's be a maximum
100%.
of 13 points scored in the game
between both teams.
Yeah, between both teams. That's an over under right there. Over under 13.
Yeah. Yeah, Vegas, and it's funny. Iowa Iowa unders have been so free this year because Vegas cannot you cannot power rate and adjust enough to how low. It's always they can set the over under at 35, and they're not in Iowa. Whatever game Iowa's in,
it's going to be under. Yeah, it's going to be under. Vegas is dang it, you keep losing money. They're going to send somebody over to Iowa to fix it. Hey,
yeah, I know.
Shout out, little brother. They beat Vanderbilt 47-6. Check them out.
Yeah, good for them. I mean, I kind of expected that. The real test is going to be next week against Kentucky, which I know Kentucky did not look great today. But they were playing Alabama. So,
what are you going to do?
We'll see. We'll see how they look. Thankfully, Clemson got the win today. So they're not going to be fighting for bowl eligibility when the South Carolina game rolls around. I did not want to see a 5-6 Palmetto Bowl.
No.
That would not. That's just not something you want to. Especially going to their place. That's not the kind of situation you wanted. So good on Clemson to get to 6-4. Bowl eligibility, all of that, and let's. But still got North Carolina next week. Big game. They're coming to town. That's not when we'll dive more into them and that matchup on Thursday. But yeah.
All right. So there's your quick update in the world of college football other than the Clemson game. Thanks so much, everybody, for showing up today, coming to hang out with us, getting in the live chat. Shout out to Steel Gamble for the super chat. We appreciate it. I see Hard Take in here saying that he was trying to send one, but apparently YouTube hates us and they won't let him send one. But we appreciate the gesture anyway, Hard Take. Thank you so much, man. But as you guys know, me and Jordan do this post-game live after every single Clemson game. So come hang out with us next week after the North Carolina game. Those of you that don't know, we also do a weekly show every Thursday, 7 p.m. right here. It'll be headlined this week by talking about the North Carolina game. And it's going to be a great show. I encourage you guys to show up. Don't miss it. It's going to be one for the ages. So show up. Come hang out with your boy Jordan Bowman and Tiger Paul Craven, and we'll get you spun up on the game and our thoughts heading into the weekend. So great day to be a Clemson Tiger. Great team win for the Clemson Tigers. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there that have served and are still currently serving our country. And I couldn't be happier to be a Clemson Tiger today. Until next time, I'm Tiger Paul Craven. He's Jordan Bowman. Go Tigers.
Later, y'all.